morning everyone, it's Yvonne here to do your What's Cracking reading. Just find what deck to use. We're going to use the Muse Tarot for the reading this morning. Firstly, thank you so much for subscribing to my other channel. It is growing beautifully. If you're wanting to follow the signs, the zodiac signs, the link is in the box below. It is funny doing those after such a long time because I still can't always reconcile how the readings come through. In all the years of reading, I just trust. And it blows me away sometimes how many people say they resonate. I'm at Young this Sunday. If you're in the area, Young, New South Wales. I'm pretty sure it's my last fair for the year. So if you're interested in joining us there, I would say to get there early. We book out very, very quickly. For others of you who are interested, I am on other social media platforms. If you do want to join me up there. But my Facebook at the Aussie Goddess is the one that I most likely use the most. So if you want to join me on Facebook, please do. I do keep everybody up to date on there. All right, I think that's everything today. I feel that there is something else I want to talk about, but we'll leave it for a moment. All righty. Okay, this is beautiful. So we're starting off with the Justice card this morning. The Justice card is a card that talks of things being put right, whether that's a legal representation, whether it is something karmic, whether it's something out of balance. It is the card of Libra. But it's about things being put right, things being put back into order, justice being taken, given. For me, often feels like when I see the Justice card that all's going to be well, all will work out the way it's meant to work out, especially in regards to things that you're doing in your day-to-day life. Like, for example, if you're learning new lessons, then the Justice card says to me that that is something that you have to work your way through, but at the end of the day, you're going to get what you need from that. All right, let's see where we're going here too. All right, so this is something, actually, we have a King of Swords coming through. That's quite interesting because for me, the King of Swords very often represents legal, lawyer, somebody who's, the front-facing law. So if you're going through some sort of court case this morning, or today, or at the moment, it feels to me like something is going to, I'll give you a bit more information, but something is going to be put right here. Something that you've been waiting to see put right. Let's just have a look. Four of Cups coming through. All right, see, there's dissatisfaction in itself. It makes me feel here, and we have the Two of Cups. Okay, I'm just going to go off on a little bit of an intuitive moment here, because I feel like for some of you, this is in regard to a relationship, something that's been out of whack or is not working in the way it needs to. And at the end of the day, whether the outcome's exactly what you want or not, I feel like there's a just and fair outcome. Sometimes I can feel this in regard to a relationship. If you're in the process of separating with somebody or divorcing someone, then there again appears to be some sort of really good outcome. But we'll get more information on that as we're moving through it. Now, for some of you, you could be dealing with a Gemini, Libra, Aquarius person. But we'll see what's going on and what it's in regard to. It could be in regards to, we have a Queen of Cups coming through here. So it's something you may be going through, some sort of legal situation with somebody. Because the Queen of Cups can be a Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, but it's also a person who has a love connection. So I'm feeling like here you may be going through something with somebody that you really love. Now, it could be a separation from somebody, because I never put things past that. relationship breakdown where you didn't want it to break down, but the other person feels that they need the space, time, or needing to move on. But whoever I'm speaking to here, this separation is something you feel very passionate about. So it's almost like you've got to let go of something here that perhaps you feel really feel a lot of love towards. All right, let's see what the universe wants to tell you here. Three of Pentacles coming through with the Tower. I've seen the Tower a lot in the last few days, and this is all okay. That's what I was going to say before. If you're going through something at work, in regards to a job that possibly you loved to do, but perhaps something has happened. I've heard of a few people lately that where they have been, I guess, not so much accused, but pulled up for doing things that they haven't so much been a part of. And this has happened 3 times in the last few weeks where people have been told, that they're unreliable, for example, and they've been completely reliable. And I feel that that is a really subjective question to ask. I mean, if somebody has you working for them and expects you to work 7 days a week and you choose not to work overtime on a weekend, or you choose to have Sundays off, does that make you unreliable? And this is the way some people have been seeing things. So there seems to be a lot in that field, especially in the workplace. And I'm getting work here where people are being sort of sidelined or pushed aside for other people because the person above them doesn't really like them and is looking for an excuse to bypass them along the way. And we used to see it, I've always seen it in the workplace, but it seems to be a lot more dominant now. And I understand we have more social media, so we're seeing more of this stuff, like the narcissism and the spitefulness. But it seems to me some people are really I always want to say they're at the mercy of people who've got the power over them. So twice this week I've heard the unreliable thing, but yet both people have been extremely reliable. And it's almost like you're seeing this rise of people who are using their power over others in an unfair and an unjust way. And maybe that is why we are seeing that justice card. Now, this can also happen in relationships too, where, people are going through separations and somebody is putting the blame on somebody or is accusing somebody of doing something that isn't necessarily true. But once it's been said, it has so much impact, it's really hard to clear your name. And again, we've seen this in courts over the years, but it seems to be so much more prevalent now, where people are really using their power over others in an unhealthy way. So what I feel like here, whoever I'm talking to, there is a real energy here of somebody who's maybe done this, who's maybe steered something in another direction that isn't necessarily true or real. For example, it could be a relationship where somebody is accusing you of doing something that you haven't done. For example, cheating. It could be that somebody is breaking some sort of contract with you, I want to say. And that you're being perhaps pursued or given the responsibility of something that isn't necessarily your responsibility. And I feel like for some of you, this is going through some sort of court process where you are being, for example, I remember somebody saying to me not so long ago that they were married to an extremely narcissistic person who they had taken them to court for a divorce and settlement, and they had spoken up and said that the woman was really cruel to the child, she didn't feed the child was, and said all these things about the child that weren't really true. And of course the court has to investigate that. And I feel like when I'm talking to people, I say to them, make sure you're keeping records, make sure you've got everything written down, because in the long run that will serve you. But you see, the problem is once it's put into action, then all of a sudden everything revolves around that particular thing, and it takes the focus off the other person who's more than likely doing the wrong things but isn't being noticed so much because they've put the light on you or shone the light on you. This is what this is feeling like to me. So for some of you, this may be a work situation. For others of you, it may be a relationship, but the Tower is here. So I want to say to you, especially with this Three of Pentacles here, that something has been built on a faulty foundation. So if that is the case, then some of those stories or some of those situations here are being pushed aside. So they're being disproven. If you're going up into a breakup with somebody, they may be blaming you for things that actually they were doing, which is not unusual. It's rare that two people, I think, go into a situation where both of them are completely faultless, although some people do get into that victim mentality where they go, it was all the other person's fault, without seeing that they had some part to play. I feel like there is somebody bearing the weight of something that doesn't necessarily belong to them. It is changing though. We have the Queen of Wands here. I have the Ace of Cups and I have the Three of Swords. So again, I get the feeling that somebody is pulling something out that is not completely related to you. You may have somebody who's decided to pull the plug or ghost you in a relationship without giving you explanation, because I see deep love for this person. But there's a lot of pain here, a lot of pain. Now, the one thing I can tell you is there are two queens sitting here, and I feel like for some of you, this may be that you've been in a relationship with somebody who has somebody else in the picture. You may be being blamed for cheating. You may be being blamed because you've done something to break the relationship down. And I want to say to you, be careful what you take the blame for. Because sometimes when people put things on you, you tend to sort of step back and take the blame for things which aren't necessarily true. Or you may start to question your own judgment, or you may start to question who you are in the relationship. Whatever this is, there is still great love here. Now, I suppose the shoe could be on the other foot. We have the Empress coming out with the Six of Cups and the Four of Swords. So there's like an advice here from the universe. It's like Spirit is saying to you, you know, step back, remember who you are, remember how, you know, how you've played this game, whatever it is, this situation, remember who you are in this situation. Because sometimes what happens is we lose sight of who we are in a relationship, or we lose sight, and I talk to people all the time about codependency. And a lot of people don't understand codependency, which is a little bit of a shame, because I think everybody should get that talk, really. If you are putting somebody else's needs above your own, then you are codependent. So for example, and somebody mentioned it to me yesterday, and thank you very much because it's a really good example. If you are standing in the kitchen cooking dinner for someone and you cook it their way because you don't want to upset them, that is codependency. If you are in a relationship where you always do what the other person does and you never do what you want to do, that is codependency. If you're experiencing this, what you're doing in effect is you're being codependent. So if you're stopping and you want to leave someone and you think the person's been extremely cruel to you and you dislike them immensely, but you're worried about taking their children away from them, or you're worried about, how they will feel or how much it will hurt them, you are codependent. What you need to do is every time you make a decision, especially in a relationship that's a little bit sour, a little bit toxic, or a little bit angry, you ask yourself why you are putting the other person's needs above your own. I feel like sometimes we stick it out in toxic situations when, we really are causing damage to ourselves. But ultimately, we know what's right, but we discount that in favor of somebody else. So if that is your situation, then you need to consider who you are here. It's really coming through very strongly. I feel like you have deep love for this situation, deep love for this person, but this has to turn around your thinking with that Tower, because you've got stuck in some way of thinking that really isn't serving you here. I feel like for some of you, as I said, it's a courtroom thing, but for others of you, I think it's either somebody is leaving you behind and blaming you for the situation or blaming you for the problems, and you need to remember who you are and what you've done in that situation. Are you blameless? If you're codependent, yes, you need to take some responsibility. If you're a people pleaser, you have undergone some trauma in your life that you need to address. Because what we've done as children is we've been taught that everybody's needs are more important than our own. And we have to unlearn that. That is the karmic energy coming through with the Justice card. So we have the Justice card coming through. Something is about to be shown to you or put right. I feel like with these two cards, we're talking about something legal or a legal separation. I do feel here that there is dissatisfaction with the situation. Perhaps it really hasn't panned out the way you wanted it to. And for me, with the Two of Cups here, and certainly with the Emperor underneath, I could be talking, Empress in the reading, I could be talking to some people who've had a twin flame situation where somebody has opened you up, or I will say cracked you open, so you can learn some things about yourself perhaps that you've never realised. But there's certainly healing from the past here with this Six of Cups. I feel like with the Ace of Cups in the middle, it really is about focusing on your own self-love. But whatever it is for you, and if this reading resonates for you, then the universe is saying to you here, remember who you are. Look at yourself in the whole thing. Like, don't look at what the other person is saying to you or taking that personally, because it isn't about taking things personally. It's about seeing things for what they are. All right, so we have this card here coming out, which is the Oracle of Chaldea. Continue on your healing journey with enthusiasm, but without forcing things to happen more quickly than feels natural. Sometimes the body will be ready to let go while the mind is still holding on. At other times, the mind may need to be patient as the body processes an experience. Trust in your own timing and rhythm. There's no need to be impatient or to judge yourself. You are summoning the spiritual fortitude to tackle an issue which has previously held you back. When the time is right, the healing will happen more easily than if you tried to push forward prematurely. Things are going to work out. See? Be positive. I'm going to read some of this because I think it's really relevant to this reading. There are times when being present in the body and feeling our truth is challenging. We may be unsure how to hold space for our own emotional and psychological states. Humans are complex creatures, and the authentic healing journey requires us to have patience with ourselves. We need to know when it is safe to delve into a matter with full faith that even if things feel out of control, we are connected to a powerful, supportive spiritual network and our own wisdom, and that's enough to handle whatever arises, even if we tremble somewhat during the process. So I feel like here you're being really asked, again, to be true to yourself. That truth is really important here. And it does talk about this oracle being an encouragement to embrace your readiness and allow the grace of your spiritual journey to expand into all areas of your life. This oracle augurs a spiritual growth spurt, a forward leaf on your path of healing and awakening. It is a reminder that no matter how large a challenge may loom, you can continue to grow your spiritual connection. So it is always more powerful than anything else. I think that's a really beautiful reading and a beautiful card to get with that reading. Thank you.